There we go. So you probably get that pop up. So good afternoon, everyone. For those of you, well, I think everyone's met me. I'm Karen from Virtual Excursions Australia. Ben is teaching somewhere in Victoria or the Riverina, so he's not going to be able to make the meeting with us today. But we have been working quite closely, looking at grants, actually, and trying to put in as many as we can. One of the great opportunities is that Virtual Excursions Australia is a not-for-profit. Um, so we're not registered as a charity as yet, but we are registered as a not-for-profit. So it does enable us to kind of be an umbrella organisation for grants. We just recently received our National Science Week grant. So we'll be running SciFest in August from the 11th to the 15th. We're doing things a little bit differently this year. So we're doing story time, science story time at 11, trivia at 1, and our science shows at 2. Um, so yeah, following up from our huge numbers last year that we had 26,000 students across those events. Um, Hello, Bonnie. We expect there to be a bit of a change, but we've got some other avenues to market to that hopefully will balance out the changes that we've had recently. So that's kind of our big one coming up that we already know that we've got. It looks like Earth Science Week will be continuing as well in October, and we've put in some grants for next year as well. So it's quite advantageous if you've got other organisations that you want to work with, but you can't put in the grant because you're a government organisation or technically for profit if you're a private organisation, that we can help do that and we can sort of be a bit of an umbrella organisation and pull in as many of our networks that's content links to that area. That's one of the things that we can help with as well. So if something does pop up and you go, oh, wouldn't that be great to reach, a different audience or a different community, and it's online, but you go, oh, we're not really eligible to do that. Yeah, please let us know because it might be something as a consortium under this not-for-profit that we can assist with that. So yes, we're keeping our eyes out for as many random and opportunities as we can, just to try to increase that funding so we can do more to support the network, but also to support our audience, our schools and our teachers and our community as well. Um, Bonnie, thank you for joining us. How are you?
Yep, I'm fine. Thank you. Nice to see you all. I don't know how much you'll want me here for, Karen, but I just wanted to see how everyone was and if you'd been feeling the effects of not having Dart around. I asked for an update yesterday and said, it's 11 weeks this week. And
Oh,
they said,
wow.
yeah, no updates. So I've got nothing to report anyway.
Well, I appreciate you joining us and your support. And I guess one of the questions I did have is with the sort of Dart social media side, can things still be shared or is it kind of that's turned off as well? Like, what's the opportunity there?
I've just been told to cease all work. So
Okay.
I can't do anything. So I did do one post, which was just pointing them to your website, to
Mm,
Virtual Excursions Australia website, hoping that you'd have some stuff there. If we get some inquiries from teachers, which we obviously get them, and they're coming in a bit more because what we've been noticing is we're still having up to 2,500 users come to our website a week looking for it to come back up because there's not enough information around for the people to say, well, what's happening? What's happening?
yeah.
Like I'd love to be able to tell you, but I have no idea. Um, and but so that one social post that I made was just about pointing them, there are
Yeah.
resources here or there are resources there. That's all we can really do at this stage. Yeah. Look, the only other thing that I would ask is if there's any questions you're getting from teachers or there's any from users or even yourself. And what we're doing is we're collating all the information that we're getting from people to
Yeah.
say, look, this is how many inquiries we're getting. This is how many people are actually missing this resource and need this resource. So feel free to drop an email to me or to Dart Learning just saying, look, when is this coming back? Whatever. That would actually be really quite helpful if you have the time to do that.
Yeah, excellent. Well, I've certainly seen, a steady increase. It's not a huge flood, but certainly we didn't have a lot of New South Wales department schools signing up to our newsletter because they didn't really need it. We tended to find it was the independent schools, interstate schools, and homeschools. But we're getting those
Oh,
registrations now coming through to our newsletter because there's just that void. So, Bonnie, another question that I have, I've been a little bit slack on my end, and it's one of the things that I need to sort out in the next couple of weeks. But previous events that we've run, when they've ticked, yes, they want to hear from us, I haven't actually contacted them.
oh, okay.
But if I add them, technically they've signed up to say, yes, they've agreed to hear from us. There's no time limit on that, is there?
No, if they have ticked something that said yes, that means they are happy to hear from you. And
Excellent.
that's the box that they have to tick on there. So when you do your exporting of any bookings, when you've used the Dart system,
Yeah.
you'll have that little
Yeah, absolutely. And I
confirmation
have
from them.
actually separated them out of the ones that have agreed and the ones that were duplicates and all that kind of thing. So they're kind of ready to go, but I just wanted to double check on that. And I guess one of my other questions is, we've got SciFest coming up. We had huge responses last year. Um, because they've like, can we just do a kind of a full mail out saying just as a once, like this is on again if you're interested, or is that just best not to? Is
Are you
because I
you
would
talking from Dart or from you?
from I think yeah from the Dart ones.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to do anything, Karen.
Yeah, yeah. No,
I'm
no, no. I
absolutely,
mean from us. I can do it,
you can do it. Yeah.
but if they hadn't, if it's a repeat visit as opposed to them specifically ticking the yes, I want to hear from you. So it's just that sort of grey
Oh,
area.
yeah, yeah. Look, I think that's why we ask them to do that. It's a bit like when you sign up, you go to a concert and you have to tick, do you want to hear about future upcoming events? And you've got to tick yes or no.
Yeah.
So if they haven't ticked it, then it's kind of means they
Yeah,
don't want to hear.
err on the side of caution.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that's just with that little bit of a muddy area at the moment in terms of not wanting to sort of cross any contacting lines, but knowing that we've just, got this big deficit of connections that we previously had. And I think we'd spoken about in our previous meetings of each sort of all organizations actually just sharing that out as well. It's like when you've got a newsletter, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
here's some other online activities that are coming up. So we're going to come up with a little bit of a blurb and a bit of a connection. So yeah, hopefully
And
that
and it
will.
would be very interesting to see like, what you had on in term two that you maybe didn't get the numbers that you'd hoped for from New South Wales schools. That would be good. And even when I say to you that, we're still getting 2,500 users a week come and check the site. Yeah, but the week before Dart went off air, we were getting 13,500
Yeah,
users.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
Um, I certainly saw Naomi from the Museum of History Sydney, their big live event that they did earlier this term. They still got 8,000 people.
great.
So I haven't actually touched base with her. I was hoping she'd be here today to ask whether some of that came before Dart because I think that session had been advertised before Dart got closed. So interesting whether there'd already been a bit of pre-marketing or whether they just did a really good extra campaign. So I will follow up on that for everyone as well, because that certainly showed that there's still people are still looking, and whether or not they don't have access to Dart, they're looking in other places. So they are the social media is working for them.
So
But that
I'm
was one I
also,
saw.
yeah, and I'm also wondering with things like SciFest last year, we did a big advertising thing on it. So I don't know whether you could reshare a post from last year, but put this year's agenda on saying, here we are coming again. And then if you're resharing a post from the Dart Learning website, that will get you that audience, the Dart Learning socials. That should get you a bit more of an audience as well.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, I can tag that as well. So
Yeah,
yes, I
yeah,
think so. And I've got a couple of other avenues for SciFest through the Australian Science Teachers Association, and we've been the I think it's an Australian body, but Australian Homeschool Network group. I don't think there's a few different ones. I don't know if there's actually an official one or they're all just kind of doing their own thing. But we've got one of the homeschool networks that's reached out. So I think that'll be a really good avenue as well. Because one of
awesome. Yeah.
the analytics we had from last year was that 50% of our bookings were homeschools, which was a huge amount considering what the numbers were. So that's a really, I think, a good avenue, but we're yet really hoping that we can still tap into that New South Wales school market because we want them to be able to have access to the programs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hearing you. Mm.
Mm.
Yes. So, is there any other questions anyone's got? Anything else I can kind of help with? Otherwise, I don't know whether you want me to hang around. You might want to discuss things amongst yourselves. I'm happy to stay if you'd like me to. Um,
I don't think we've got anything particularly confidential. So if you want to stick around and provide insight when you've got it, because you do have a huge amount of expertise and knowledge, I think it would
well,
be
I'll quite
nice.
happily just sit here and have my cup of tea and stare at the familiar faces. Go ahead.
Excellent. I might just point to Alicia. I'm not actually physically going to point to you, but I know that you've been continuing with a quite regular events. What have you found with your bookings?
Yeah, we've been trying to keep a very similar schedule to what we would have been doing pre the Dart shutdown. Our numbers are way down, way, way, way down. So we looked at our term one registrations to see what proportion of people were saying that they found us through Dart. And it was about 30 or 40% of people who actually answered the question. That's not even including all the people who didn't answer the question. And we're definitely seeing impacts with numbers. Yeah, I'd say probably about 50% of what we would normally be getting. Um, and we're also starting to get comments from teachers. A few times I've heard, why didn't you put this up earlier? I didn't know about it in time. When in actuality, I'm getting things up on our website earlier than I would have put them up on Dart, but it's
Yeah.
just they don't know that they now have to go out instead of, us sort of coming to them through the medium of Dart that they're already checking. They don't know that they have to now intentionally seek us out. Yeah, so it's been really challenging.
Mm. Have you found a uptake in your newsletter in terms
I
of
haven't checked that actually. So our
mm,
marketing team have a look at all of those numbers, but that's a really great question.
mm.
Yeah,
And that
I will
could
check on
certainly
that.
be join this newsletter to find out the most. So that could be like in your follow-up
Yeah,
as well. If you want to know more, here's how you can sign up because it is
yeah,
really tricky of trying to capture people that we know want to know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And finding them, in enough time for them to be able to schedule it in around all of their classes. So, yeah, we're working at it. I mean, we didn't even have our programs up on our own museum website before this because everything worked really well on Dart. So we kind of didn't need to. So we've had to our digital team has been amazing in getting that up really quickly so that everything is listed on there. We're also, Karen, we've been seeing an uptake in the number of people who have said that they found us through the Virtual Excursions Australia
Okay.
newsletter, which is really fantastic. Um, and our marketing team has been, really supportive in trying to include us in e-news and social media. But there's kind of only so much they can do because the majority of the museum's audiences are not teachers. They're people who are there for a whole variety of reasons. So yeah, reaching our very specific audience, we haven't cracked it yet. That's what I'll say.
Yes, and I think that's probably what we're all here in the next, the next few months to year to try to work out. But it's great to know that the newsletters are working. I'm trying to rearrange the Virtual Excursions Australia website as well, just to make it a little bit more clear that there's going to be a teacher section and then there's going to be a content provider kind of section. So I'm hoping that that will help a little bit as well. But we certainly have seen the analytics from the website has increased of people coming to our site. So that's been quite good. And I guess, one of the big differences, I've just scheduled all of SciFest and I've just had to sort of go back in and check all the questions that we're asking because it wasn't necessarily enough data. And also to make it more inclusive, that I didn't want to have everything as student because then it puts people off if they're early child or homeschools. So I wanted to have sort of organization or school, age or year level kind of thing. So it's been a little bit interesting trying to make sure that, the data that we're capturing on our end will be more useful when we're registering those sessions. But certainly, Alicia, I know that you've got one of your sessions that's on in Science Week listed with that we'll have during SciFest, but all of those other sessions that you've got on that week, we can include with all of our SciFest promotion. It just, that's not a problem at all. Like we just won't we won't necessarily count your numbers as ours,
Yeah,
but we will include your sessions as part of
that's
that
amazing.
promotion. Yeah,
Thank you,
because
Karen. Because frankly, I blame you because everybody was so happy with our numbers last year from SciFest that they were like, this time we have to do every day of the week. So here we are, and then the
well,
timing couldn't be
I could have
worse.
just got quite lazy and just said that all of your 2 o'clock sessions are all the SciFest sessions, and then I would have less work to do. But that's one of the things we can do as well. Like, even if there's sessions on during the same time as one of our events, we can still promote it as a virtual excursions festival kind of thing. So it doesn't matter if it's not exactly the same content area. We can 100% include it with that. Like August is huge because you've got, what is it? It's Science Week, Book Week. Is it
Book week.
Education Week as well, Bonnie? August? There's another one.
I think Science and Book Week are the two big ones,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah.
So,
NAIDOC week just sort of falls outside of term 2 and into term 3 as well.
yeah, so some people will do that at the end of June and some people will do it at the beginning of July. So I am due to send out the next newsletter like this week. So I know that people that had NAIDOC week programs for next week, that they can still be included. So anything that you've got for the last little bit of term, please let me know because I'll get that newsletter out. What day is it today? Hopefully tomorrow or Friday morning. I keep thinking today's already Thursday, um, because traditionally the Virtual Excursions Australia meetings were on a Thursday afternoon. So for some reason I've skipped ahead. But yeah, any digital sessions that you've got coming up or anything that you want us to promote, yeah, please send that through to me and I'll get it into the newsletter as soon as possible. I'm trying to as well create a little bit more of a calendar and schedule for myself because there's certainly some sessions that came up earlier in the year that there was just so many close together I didn't get to promote all of them. So I just need to be a little bit better about spreading those out. Sorry, what was that, Amy? Yeah, so I definitely want to try to create a calendar. I've been looking at an appropriate plugin for the website to create a little bit more of a schedule that we can just have everything listed in there and it just links back to your booking site. But I haven't found one that looks good at the moment. So yeah, I'm just having a little play. So that's definitely the website's a bit of a work in progress. But yeah, we've got a test site, so I'm going to see if I can break the test site and change everything around before I mess up the live site too much. Excellent. Amy, do you have a question?
Oh no, I was just going to say I was being a bit cheeky. I was sending through something for the newsletter
Oh.
for you. It just comes up as our virtual excursions calendar because that's what essentially it is.
Oh no, that's okay because one of the
Yeah.
previous meetings we said that we'd try to set up some sort of calendar system that we could list
Oh,
everything
yeah,
in.
no, this is my first meeting with all of you. So lovely to see friendly faces. I just wanted to jump in because the National Portrait Gallery had a slightly different we set up a lot of our programs on our website before Dart went down. We sort of tried putting them on both platforms because, the more bookings, the better. And we actually got a little nervous having everything on Dart, to be totally honest. So we thought, oh, we'll have it on our website. So when Dart did go down, luckily we were not in a terrible, terrible position. If it had been last year, we would have actually, because through Dart last year, we got 22,000 bookings for our NAIDOC programs.
Oh wow.
And this year, through just our website, we've got over 28,000. So for us, we haven't actually noticed a huge, like it hasn't had a really bad ramification for us. But disclaimer, it's because we actually already had it on our website ready to go. It was working well with Dart. We had to, and we definitely quickly took those bookings from Dart and everything. But yeah, so I just sort of wanted to sort of explain that, even though we haven't really felt the effects as badly, we have noticed that through social media and our newsletters, that's how people are finding out about us. Mostly through social media and through our research, it's teachers doom scrolling is the colourful term of basically like trying to find programs and things that suit them. So yeah, I just wanted to put my 2 cents in because it's a little bit of a slightly different take on, I think, yeah, what's been happening. Yeah.
Amy, can
Um,
I ask you a question with that? Were you noticing any of the registrations that you had? Was there an increase across the board of Australian schools, or was there had the New South Wales schools had a dip at all, or do you not collect that data?
We collect all data.
Yeah.
We collect as much data. It's actually how to read the data that we're actually trying to work out at the moment. I think, in all honesty, if anything's been occurring for our website, it's been we found through Dart we would get a big intake in homeschoolers from regional New South Wales. Whereas from our website, we've worked out that there's a much more national and classroom-based audiences that we're picking up on. Um, I think I also think the drop-off rate has been quite interesting because, for example, with Dart, we would get sometimes like, those repeat visitors, but they wouldn't necessarily show up on their booking. Whereas, for example, today our 12:45 NAIDOC session, we had 413 students and 15 out of 17 bookings came. And that's actually a huge uptake because in digital, I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir here. Everybody's going, no, there's usually a 50% drop off or more for bookings, and that's sort of standard. So I'm not sure, it could be like just the popularity of NAIDOC. It could just be an uptrend generally in the winter, like who knows? But we've actually found that we've had more sort of diverse bookings, and I can share wonderful maps actually with you that our wonderful programmer made of the regions. Like we've even hit the Northern Territory, which is just amazing because the population size is really small there. Yeah.
that's great. And yeah, really good to hear
Done.
that variety and that there's still, there's still the hunger from the community and the schools and the homeschools for the sessions. And great that they know that this is a place that they can find them as well. And were many of the ones, could they say whether they'd come to one of your programs before? Because that would be interesting if they've found it because they've done it before and they know it's good and they're coming back, or whether they were new consumers. But either way, that's really good to know, because we're all looking at how we can sort of maintain those levels. Because yeah, certainly for us, SciFest was the biggest year that we'd ever had, and I think one of the reasons for that is we did the bookings directly through Zoom, so we had all of the sessions advertised on Dart, but we had them coming out of Zoom, and the reason for that is we wanted to not alienate non-schools. And we did find homeschools were fine. They knew how to use Dart, but we were looking at more like so adults and community to be able to do the sessions as well, and they just couldn't understand a system that's like, oh well, I'm not a school, even if they could say something different. So we wanted to use Zoom that way. And what it also meant is we also had things listed on the National Science Week website and the Virtual Excursions Australia website that linked directly to those Zoom registrations as well. So we got a huge number coming directly through Dart. So we had those analytics as well, but we also got people that came straight through to those registrations without going through the Dart portal. So that was quite useful as well. Being able to have a few different avenues where they can get to you. So yeah, there's options. So certainly next year, we can really push a big NAIDOC week. So we can have a page on the Virtual Excursions Australia system for NAIDOC week, and then when they click on the session, it goes to your booking site or to whichever organisation. So we can have a little, a collation of all the NAIDOC things that are on during the digital, and then they all go off to the booking system. So it's just that another place that we can sort of coordinate and collate those sessions. And again, we can do a special newsletter just for NAIDOC week. So we had some come through for NAIDOC week, but not everyone was doing things. So I think just having a little bit more, here are different events, let us know the ones that you focus on each year, and then we'll kind of put them out when they're ready and say, okay, which other organisations are doing things for this event? Pass on everything. We'll do a post, extra socials, and have a page on the website that will then direct back to your own places. So I think that's just that other avenue that we have found has been quite successful. So yes, if it's not an event that we currently are doing, we 100% will do it anyway. A lot of the topic areas are just stuff that I like, so I'm putting something on together and then I'm asking everyone else. So we definitely want to try to do more, so we can have even just at least once a month to have something, or to a term, depending how things work, to have something that's like a highlight that we can hang the socials off and hang marketing off. So even if you've got like a really special guest speaker coming that's going to be quite significant, we can then see what other things can be sort of packaged in with that, sitting underneath a great topic or an idea or a speaker. Now, I'm sure there was something else I was going to mention, but I can't remember what it was. So Tim or Timothy or Prudence, do you want to add anything, introduce yourself to the rest of the group, let us know what you're doing?
Yeah, just beat you to it. Hi everyone, good to see a few familiar faces as well. So I'm Tim, I'm from the Museum of Australian Democracy. I'm one of the learning coordinators here, but mostly look at obviously our digital programs here. Just stepped into this role back in February. It's been a bag of fun. Some of you might remember my former colleague, Carly Barker, who's now with the National Library of Australia, doing some great stuff over there as well. So stepping into some very big shoes there. But it is really interesting reflecting, right, on what the dip in numbers has been for us. Out of curiosity, I was just kind of looking back at sort of what our our Reconciliation Week numbers were by comparison. And for our sort of a key kind of keynote speaker events that we had last year, we had around nearly 9,000 students and nearly 500 teachers in attendance. This year we didn't have that much less. We had about 7,500 students, but only around like 100 or so teachers. So it's an interesting bringing into those metrics just in terms of, maybe some of that reach potentially in terms of things that we would have previously listed through Dart. Similarly to Amy at Portrait Gallery, like we've always listed our programs on our website as well. And certainly that's been something we've been working a lot more with our digital team in terms of making sure that we're going out to socials a lot more, whereas in the past we would have done sort of partnered socials where we're tagging Dart for those events that are listed through there for registration purposes. We're now getting people to feedback in to our own website and managing that a bit more on our end. So just utilising things like Paperform and that to collect our bookings. It's interesting seeing that we've had maybe a bit of a lull in just our more day-to-day programming, which is quite interesting. So I'm very curious if there's any kind of correlation there in that respect. July is looking a lot quiet. June and July are looking a lot quieter than they have in previous years for us, just from a day-to-day perspective. but yeah, we've still got one or two other partnerships, like through Eagle League in Victoria, but it's certainly something that we're keeping track of. One of the things, particularly with like events that I know we're starting to do, is actually just looking at where else on our website we're actually landing some of those events in terms of catching certain audiences that might not necessarily be navigating through the swathe of, drop down menus to our learning pages. So putting those in slightly more front and center locations. And again, yeah, our digital team's been fantastic in terms of just helping us market across socials. A lot more work we do. Steph Smith, the manager, has been doing some very clever stuff in terms of additional resources and pushing a lot more content to socials, which is, I think, just growing that sort of that remote learning presence on socials and that awareness of our programs and resources. One thing I was going to mention as well is NCETP. Of course, I think their most recent newsletter was a focus on digital programs. So that's one thing that we've just did a bit of a shout out in terms of what we got up and some of our upcoming events as well through there. But yeah, certainly, Karen, I think we'll, right on the back of this, be speedily sending you some stuff about our NAIDOC student and teacher PD events that we've got on the cards for July.
Excellent. Thank you.
Hello. Sorry, everyone. I had technical issues at the start, which is why I'm now in a cupboard. I'm Prudence. I'm from the National Film and Sound Archive. My update will be short. I came on board at the National Film and Sound Archive last year, and I was sort of setting us up in this space. So we're all ready to do a whole lot of things, and then Dart sent out the email. So that we've been doing some pivoting and looking at different ways that we can essentially get into this space doing different methods. In CETP newsletter, we put something in there and things like that. We don't have I feel like the National Film and Sound Archive doesn't have quite the profile of many of the other national organisations. So that's sort of, there's two things going on for us in terms of how we're sort of managing this change. We haven't been in this space before, and we're kind of like, who are they? Organisation, but that's okay. So it's been lots of fun, different challenges, but we haven't run digital excursions before not really in the pre-time, so I can't report any changes in numbers there. And that's me. I don't think there's anything more interesting I can add, but lovely to meet some of you and see some familiar faces.
Excellent. Well, certainly when there's different events and things coming up, let us know how we can help support you as well. Yeah, we've got the big webinar room and the Kahoot quiz platform as well that we can help you with. Yeah, I have a lot of fun with Kahoot, I have to say. Yes, we like the lunchtime quizzes. We've had lots of really positive feedback from both schools and homeschools doing that in their break time. Mary, what about you? What have you been up to?
I haven't really been delving into the digital space. So for me, I'm just here to connect and update. And for me, I'd need to consider having, my own booking system or something like that to sort of fit into the new programming of things. So yeah, I haven't quite wrapped my head around that. I think I have a program where I could have the possibility of doing that, and I have a Zoom account. I just need to be motivated enough I'll find the time, really.
And that certainly is the challenge. Yeah, I feel that I'm juggling this time of year, and yes, trying to make sure that everything is in the right spot. So I completely understand about having to try to find the time to do something different. And maybe it's something, as it's warming up, you might get more people inspired to get outside and connect with nature as well. So maybe that could be your inspiration. Spring, be ready for spring.
Sounds great.
Excellent. What about you, Grant, from the Australian Age of Dinosaurs? Did I see that you've just written a book?
Oh yes, that little I've got one here somewhere. The little astronomy book. It's a little small little kids book. Actually, that was 23, I think.
Ah.
I wrote that one, but it was only just published last year.
I was interested when I was asking for authors to read their books during science story time that you didn't think of yourself.
Yeah, I didn't think of it either. But now that maybe I could be available, I just didn't think of it as as a kid's book, but maybe people seem to be interested in it. So that's awesome.
Well, I'll let you know if the Tuesday's still free because yeah, we wanted to sort of have that Earth Science Day. So I'll tap you on the shoulder if we've still got that gap.
Yep, sure.
So how are you going with any other digital programs? Because you were having some general stuff on your website, weren't you?
Yes, we've still got a couple of general, like it's email us directly to make the bookings. So we still don't have a nice graphic booking page for our education side yet. But but yeah, for us and for me, it's still most of my focus is around making the museum happen, which is the visitors here on site. So yeah, that still takes most of my time, but yeah, definitely the getting this online presence is something that yeah we need to improve because yeah, absolutely, it's something that we can contribute to and hopefully yeah just gain more interest and get lessons out there to people.
Because it's I know that I think it's amazing how many schools that you do actually get go out there considering Winton is quite far away. So yeah, digital
Yes, yeah.
opportunities are great too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I mean, again, this year we've got a couple of schools coming up from Victoria
Wow.
and yeah, New South Wales and of course across Queensland. So yeah, they're able to get here physically in some cases. And actually, this year I think we've had an extra two or three. I mean, in terms of our virtual online
Mhm.
lessons, typically we've been doing 2 to 4 a year. Currently, right now, we've done four already, and we're halfway through the year. So yeah, it's hopefully it's looking a bit better for the rest of the year as well.
Excellent. Well, we're looking forward to having you involved in SciFest again this year.
Yes, I've got to send you through my
Yeah.
little blurb. Yep,
Yes. Your blurb and picture.
yep.
Um, excellent. Let's just, tap everyone on the shoulder while I've got you in the meeting. Excellent. Does anyone else want to share anything or ask anyone else in the group any questions? Or you're just all busily getting your programs ready to email me? Yes, Alicia.
I had a quick question for Amy and Tim. You mentioned that you've been having a lot of success with reaching out to teachers on socials. Is that through do you have like just a museum social that everything goes through, or do you have like a learning specific account?
Oh, Alicia, you asked some loaded questions.
Yeah, can you tell that this is also what I've been
It's
thinking
going.
about?
We're going out. No, we are going out via the main museum socials account. That's certainly been like a discussion coming out of these recent events. Is what is about it. It's an old conversation that we're privy to. We've previously had sort of our own YouTube channel, for example, where we've done some resources and stuff. That is sort of one thing. So within the main museum YouTube account, we've got like now at least a learning channel. So there's a bit of that separating. We're just also kind of in the midst of some rebranding. So there's also some decisions kind of feeding into exactly that sort of thing. Whereas in the past, we have had a bit more of like a separate mind learning, branding and identity. It's merged a bit more. So yeah, currently all our stuff is going out through the main museum social channels.
Um, so we're sort of same but different. So we go out with our main National Portrait Gallery sort of account, but that's also because the institution is such that it's quite small and we've found that audiences don't care if you call yourself NPG Learn or, have these sort of subsets. So what we did do was, because we are specifically targeting teachers, was we just made sure that it was a targeted campaign. So we went through National Portrait Gallery sort of account, but with discussions with external relations, we were able to put in little, targeted, interested in education and teachers. And yeah, so it actually has only gone to people on social media that are involved in those groups and are interested in those groups. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like it's
Oh, that
targeted,
is
it's not
incredibly
just
helpful. Yeah.
releasing it into the world, and that's actually how we were allowed to do it as well.
Yeah.
Because like Tim, same but different. That sort of that marketing, you want it to be consistent across obviously the organization, but then obviously if you're targeting a specific audience, Facebook like allows you to do that. I think the biggest struggle we're having with social media is these emerging teachers. Facebook's seen as quite daggy.
Yeah.
So, we're sort of like, I always thought, oh yeah, they're all on Facebook. But no, I've worked out that I've actually, when my 18-year-old niece said that she was using Facebook to contact her old relatives, I was like, oh wow. So, it is that thing of like we need to adapt probably to other social media channels as well to reach our emerging teachers. But currently we're targeting them with ads, and they've themselves selected that education and, topics are of interest. So we've tried to tag as many of those as possible so it gets under the right eyes. Yeah.
TikTok's the place to be these days, Amy.
We're not allowed to have one.
No, we'll see. There you go. So
Yeah.
it always starts with you're not
Super
allowed to, and
accessible
then
to government
embrace it.
organisations.
Yeah, I know. That's right.
I'm
I
not
do
ready
have
for
to
TikTok.
go.
Okay,
Lovely to
thanks,
see you
Bonnie.
all.
Oh,
Thank
thanks,
Bye.
Bonnie. Good to
Thank
see you.
you. So I followed the same thing and have just started the Virtual Excursions Australia Instagram account. So please feel free to find that. I think there's a turtle post from World Turtle Day and something else, but it will be becoming more populated as well. I really struggle with the fact that you've got to like put the link in the bio and you can't actually go anywhere the same way. So it's not nearly as convenient. But yes, that the idea of where the audience on Facebook and where that's at. I also tag like a lot of the New South Wales teacher Facebook groups, and the same kind of thing that we've done for Virtual Excursions Australia. I've got a couple of groups that when we do paid posts, there's an online learning one. And then there's a homeschool one. So one's sort of a bit more focused on teachers and the other one's a bit more focused somewhere else. But it's all linked to sort of those, education, learning online. So people that want to find what we're looking for is that target. So yeah, that's quite useful as well. Excellent. Yes,
Karen,
Mary?
I'm just looking on Instagram. I'm wondering if Virtual Excursions Australia is the tag for Instagram, and it currently is private.
Ooh, okay.
Maybe it needs to be business or something.
I have
Anyway,
no idea. I'll look. Because when I've made my other ones, it hasn't automatically made it private. So yeah, I'll just go into the
I don't know if I'm right, but
no. That sounds right. And we don't want that. We want it public. Maybe we'll be so exclusive that people will absolutely be desperate to join because it looks private and secret. But no, I'll open that up. Thank you, Mary. Ah, I have to ask my 17-year-old son for Instagram advice because it's like which picture should I put first? And he's like, that one's going to bring people in and then they'll want to know other things. I'm like, okay. So very, very well, one of the few handy things about teenagers is very good for technical advice and to tell me when I'm being a boomer. So there we go. Excellent. Does anyone else have anything they want to add at this point? if you do think of something and you've got a burning wish, please feel free to join us on Monday afternoon at 4 to 5. So we're kind of having another version of the meeting as well, just to cover as many people as they can. So if you kind of think, oh, I want to ask, come along, or send me an email and I can ask on your behalf. But certainly in the meantime, and I'm actually just thinking I might wait to send the newsletter out till Tuesday next week, just so anyone on the Monday, but that's getting a little bit too close to the end of term. So if you've got anything coming up between now and the end of term, I will do it on social as well, and we'll see how we go. Might still just try to get the newsletter out on Thursday, because we want to make sure all the programs next week have some good marketing. Excellent. Well, thank you everyone for joining today, and thank you for all of those new organisations for joining with Virtual Excursions Australia. And we'll try to start having some really regular meetings that we can just get up and catch up and share. So that we will have another one towards probably just after school holidays in July. So sort of late July. Excellent. Thanks, everyone. Look forward to hearing about all your programs soon.
Thanks, Karen.
Thanks so
Thanks,
much,
Karen.
Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.